Making Trapper look like an S tier killer. I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but believe me, here are my credentials. I'm a Prestige 100 Trapper, I have a little over 7,000 hours in the game, almost 500 of those as a Trapper, and even though Trapper is one of the weakest killers in the game, I still managed to win most of my matches with him. Let's start with the basics. You're a Trapper, right? Your power is to set traps around the map and pray to the entity that the survivors step on them. It's pretty straightforward, but there is a difference between a Trapper that just sets traps and hopes for the best and a Trapper that knows what he's doing. How to set your traps. For windows, I would say the perfect distance between the trap and the window is about one bear trap away. If you put the bear trap any closer, the survivors will be able to just vault past it, and if you do it any further, the survivors will be able to simply dodge it. For pallets, I like to put the bear trap at the edge of the pallet, ideally hidden by grass. If you put the trap in the middle of the pallet, survivors can simply pre-drop the pallet and vault over your trap. Okay, now let's move on to the sneaky traps. This is going to be different in literally every single map, but basically you want to take advantage of any grass or bushes that you think survivors can walk through. My favorite spots are plants around Killer Shack or thick grass inside of loops. Just try to work with whatever the map gives you. Obviously, some maps are better than others, but you should still try to adapt and make the best out of every map. Let's talk about the actual build. Okay, so the objective of this build is Basement Trapper. Corrupt Intervention and Deadlock are going to buy you as much time as possible so you can set your traps around the map, prepare basement and its surroundings. Agitation and Iron Grasp will help you carry survivors for a lot longer, helping you secure a basement hook or at least hook survivors in a heavily trapped area. The add-ons that I always use are Iridescent Stone and Honing Stone. Iris Stone makes your traps reset every 30 seconds so you don't have to worry about survivors disarming them, and Honing Stone puts them into the dying state if they step on the trap. This is, in my opinion, of course, the absolute best build for a basement trapper. Okay, now that you have the basics and the thought process behind the build, I'll show you how all of these tips look like in an actual match. Hello, voiceover, because I think this match happened during stream, but I wasn't really explaining what I was doing. I think I was just talking about whatever. But you can see that the very first thing that I do is check where basement is. Cave. We have the cave in main building, which means that our basement is not there. It is in Killer Shack, which is perfect because Killer Shack is always and always will be my favorite basement. We waste no time starting to trap around the map. Those two traps in main building are really nice. I like them a lot. I usually wouldn't do this trap. I don't know why I'm trapping here. This is the edge of the map. I'm probably never gonna be here again. The two traps in main are pretty good though. We just trapped an extremely good pallet and the tunnel, because that tunnel has a really nice window on top. Here we're kicking a generator and pushing a Fang away. I'm pretty sure I'm trying to pick up that trap, but I'm already carrying two, so I can't. And we see this Fang actually running into Killer Shack, which is pretty nice because we want the survivors to be in this area. I'm trapping Killer Shack in a sneaky way right now. So there's two ways of trapping Killer Shack in my opinion. The sneaky mode and the complete lockdown mode. Sneaky mode is what we just did. You trap the plants around Killer Shack and it looks like I hit that Fang and then I came back to trap the window. She came back injured to disarm our traps and it looks like she's trying to greet a very unsafe pallet, and hey, I'm not gonna complain because this just gave us our very first hook in basement at 4 generators, which is extremely good. Usually I lose 1 or 2 gens, maybe 3, before I get my first hook in basement. And that's okay. As a trapper, you should lean in your power completely and trust the process. I know it's scary to hear the generators pop, but trust me, if you are just believing in yourself, somehow it works out. Just focus on trapping the surrounding areas. You can see that I go for another trap over there, and I left one of the sneaky traps in the corner, and that's the trap that Rebecca was trying to disarm right there. Luckily, this Rebecca uses dramaturgy and gets exposed before she even makes it to the pallet. Again, not complaining. It was an interesting choice, but here you can see that I'm picking up the trap so that I can manage to put her in basement. She was in a pallet, but we're lucky enough that there's no one around. We are about to put this Rebecca in here. When you are carrying a survivor, by the way, you do not give anti-camp to survivors, but I will spend some time putting this trap in here. And that's potentially going to give the Fang enough anti-camp to unhook herself later. That trap that I put at the bottom of the stairs is extremely good, by the way. I think that trap has single-handedly given me most of my downs as a trapper. It is so good. The color of your trap blends almost perfectly with the color of the floor in basement. Survivors are usually running down pretty fast, just trying to get in and out as fast as possible, and they don't see it. You know what I said about Fang getting enough anti-camp? Yeah. It looks like they panic through Killer Shack for some reason. The pallet, they cannot really get out without disarming a trap. And you know how I was talking about how it's really good to trap the edge of the pallet and not under the pallet? This is exactly why. Because we trapped the edge of the pallet, even though this Rebecca threw the pallet in an attempt to vault past the trap, she could not do it. She still got trapped anyways. It looks like I'm picking up the Fang because she's dead hook and I am greedy and want to secure the first kill. But unfortunately, this allows the Rebecca to crawl away. I definitely should have picked Rebecca up first, but when I'm streaming, I'm usually just yapping about whatever. We pick her up, and this is actually a really good example of Eerie of Eerie Stone fucking us over. The trap reset exactly 2 seconds before I was about to walk past it. So we were not able to put Rebecca in basement. But we see that in the background, Michaela steps into our trap. Luckily, she was right next to another survivor because she gets untrapped without going down, which means that someone helped her out of the trap. It looks like I'm looking for the survivors, but they're pretty much gone at this point. They didn't even leave scratch marks. But yeah, obviously we don't have a secure hook in basement. This Rebecca is outside of our basement, so here I'm just like proxying, trying to find another survivor, potentially rescuing a Rebecca. I think I'm going to grab that trap. Nope, I'm not grabbing that trap. Okay. Cut out to when they unhook Rebecca, and now I'm chasing an already injured Michaela. I have no idea why she didn't go for the pallet. Michaela mains are never beating the allegations, I fear. But yeah, she's pretty far away from basement, so of course we don't get her in basement. But what you can do is put her closer to your basement. If someone, you know, maybe forces an exchange here, or goes down anywhere near here, it looks like I'm gonna trap this window. This is a potential hook in basement, which should always be your goal. At least with this specific build, with this specific playstyle. We're looking around and they unhook our Michaela. We see that it's probably a Fang. I think that's what I see in the distance. Yeah, to my right. This Michaela is the Obsession, which usually means that they have Decisive. Not every time, but if a survivor is the Obsession, they are much more likely to be using the perk Decisive Strike, which you want to avoid. It looks like here I'm going for this Fang. She's going to the edges of the map, which is never a good idea unless you're in a map like Swamp that has stuff around the edges. But yeah, she goes down pretty easily here. We see another gen pop. Kind of stressful, but again, try to lean your power. And what I mean by that, sorry, I can't talk. What I mean by that is, did you see that hit? We managed to catch up to that Michaela and hit her because of our perk Agitation. Agitation makes you so much faster when you're carrying a survivor, and survivors usually don't expect you to be that fast because they know you're slower when carrying a survivor. But thanks to our perk Agitation, we managed to get a down in Michaela over here. And it looks like we're going for the same hook here. I could have been greedy and maybe tried to go for Rebecca, but it looks like I didn't want to risk it. We are chasing someone around here. Something that you can do with drop pallets is trap them instead of breaking them. There I just broke it. It looks like we are going to tunnel this Michaela out because she is dead hook. At this point, we already have 2 people on dead hook and we have a random thing that is injured. This Michaela goes down, and I should have known this. If you see a survivor that is the obsession and they are very confident after being unhooked, 9 times out of 10 they have decisive strike, which is what just happened. But pay attention to the trap that she steps on. This is the very first trap that we put down when we started the match. I am telling you, the traps that you set during the first 90 seconds of the match are going to be so useful. You need to use your first, 120 seconds of Corrupt to trap as many, oh my god, why do I call it? As many critical points as possible. Here we're hooking this Fang, and not on that hook, but the other Rebecca is injured and she is on that hook, so at this point the match is over. Did I just step on my fucking trap? I think I did. But yeah, this just goes to show you that if you have a really strong build with really strong add-ons and try to force a playstyle for the most part, honestly, this is a match where I made many mistakes and I still managed to get a 3k before they finished the generators. We see that Rebecca did finish the last gen, but this was after my hook, so I'm still taking it as a win. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of the build. Rebecca, spoiler, she never goes for the save, she just manages to get hatch or door, I don't even know. But yeah, this is pretty much how a trapper basement build goes. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more guides on how to be an S tier killer. Bye!